All right, we're back at you again. This is your favorite host, King Jacob. You're in the chatterbox with King Jacob with special guest Andre D. Kinard, who is cousin of mine. So we're going to be chopping up about lessons of a black man, health administration, and health and wellness in the black community. Mr. Kinard, what's going on with you?
How are you doing, Mr. Jacob, man? Thank you for having me. This is my first time on a
I'm doing
podcast at
good,
all,
cuz I'm
as I
doing
was
good.
telling you earlier. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna chop it up, man, and we're gonna get into it. So for those that don't really know you, man, like go ahead and introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about you, and then we'll get into a series of questions.
Yeah, my name is Andre Kinard. I live currently in Silver Spring, Maryland, but I'm originally from 96 South Carolina. I've been living in the Maryland area for about 20 years, and I work in the healthcare industry, mostly at assisted living facility. Um, I'm married with four kids and two grown kids and two teenagers now. Um, uh, and other than that, like I say, I just working on my career in the healthcare industry still, and but I'm also venturing out, taking advantage of a lot of things that's going on today, and trying to think about what's your next move. So I'm, trying to go into maybe one day open up a business pretty soon. Definitely, I'm working on that right now, actually.
Okay, cool. So you know, healthcare administration, has been your thing, and we chopped it up about you having your own facility, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. So we're going to talk about, you as a father, you as a husband, you as a brother, you as a son. Um, what is the true essence of the black man, and where does a black man take his place in America, and does the black man really know his identity? And so, with him identify himself, what is the structure, and what is the
Mm,
structure of the black man to move forward to rebuild, rebrand, and restructure, and teach his sons and his nephews and his little cousins and his brothers, and most of all, teaching the sisters that want to pursue a black man, to be with a black man, to depend on a black man, to be protected by a black man. Because I heard some sisters say the other day that they don't feel protected by the black man anymore. So just want you to chime in on that, and because I know you're gonna give it to us raw, because me and you have talked about this before about what's going on, and we also talked about our history as black people. So we're gonna just let you
well,
give us some of that good knowledge that you have.
yeah, brother. Well, that's a lot to cover, right? But we'll just do the best we can. And I definitely don't want to pretend that I have the answers, but um, I will say this: I, I I know it's very easy for us between men and women in the black community to, I don't know, find ourselves in a situation where we feel like we have to be competitive with each other and whatnot. So I just starting there, I think that we gotta we have to do something about our relationship, and I think it's happening. Maybe because we're forced to do it, but a lot of things that we as men do, a lot of egotistical things that we do. I think that for us, we need to work on what's going on with us. I can only speak for myself, but when we talk about how the relationship is going, I look at it from the male's point of view, because that's where my faults lie. That's where my strengths lie. That's what I know. So I feel like we as men need to start with us first, but we have to ask ourselves some serious questions. And like, for example, if you're the kind of man who's old school and you want a woman to do exactly what you say, and she do all the cooking, she do all the cleaning, she do this the old school traditional way, you're going to have a tough time in today's society, right? But instead of trying to be finding a reason to argue with a woman on who's the strongest, I think our focus needs to be more on how we can work together for bigger things. Just put that, like, where I'm the king, you're the queen. Nobody's above each other, but
Right.
you are my queen, I am your king. Work together. We got to work together. Just starting there. Um, but women, black women, have shown me that they are moving forward with or without us, brother. Okay.
Mm.
Doesn't mean they don't. Doesn't mean that we don't need each other, because Lord knows our family structure does. But like I say, we as men that just step up to the plate. I really one of the little pet peeves I have is always looking for a way to create an argument between men and women. I've that's an irritating place to start with a conversation, in my opinion, because I think it's so childish. And also, it's 2021. We got to start talking about new things, not the same problems our grandparents was talking about. A lot of
Right,
pettiness,
right,
man.
right, right.
We do a lot of petty things. We need to check ourselves.
And so, with you know us being men and we're checking ourselves, what is the because a lot of people don't understand what the structure of telling your brother, listen, brother, this is something that you shouldn't do. This is going to hurt you in the long run. And as a black man talking to my brothers, I want my brothers to understand that an intellectual mind speaks volumes on so many different levels. Um, you know, um, your your intellect can hold your identity in high regard. So with you having an intelligent mind, speaking with intelligence, conducting yourself in a manner where people know that you're going to respect them as they respect you. And I think that it really starts with that respect factor. And so I just want to, you know, uh, commend you for even coming on the show because a lot of people wouldn't talk about this topic, the essence of a black man and where did we fall off and how do we get what we once had back. And so with that being said, we see a lot of things that go on in our communities, and we see, like you said, the sisters are moving forward because in the last 5 years in Black America, there have been more Black women millionaires than Black men. So the sisters are congregating together. They're having, presentations and meetings together, and they're working together to grow their brands, to teach, the youth. But a lot of times, I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah,
that
I
should be
get
an
you.
intimidation factor if her sister makes more money than a man. And so, with that being said, what are some necessary steps that you would want us to make as Black men to strive forward and go to that next level, so we can get that structure and just help each other out as we should instead of saying that we can't
Hey,
do it when there's
yeah.
resources when we
Well,
can.
look, I mean, that's broad. That's broad. But right now, um, I really believe in we as black men, need to focus more on how important our role is if we're engaged, if we're there in the home. When we engaged in the home, there seems to be that the stats show that there's going to be better outcomes for your children, right? And so I know me personally, when I was a child growing up, and I used to notice that it seemed to me that the men who were married and were engaged in their home and their family, I don't know, they seem to look younger, they seem to dress better, they seem to be healthier, but I used to always just know that that's a better environment for kids to grow up in. Now just because the mother and father is not married, though, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that the father is not engaged. So I commend those men and women who have children together that decided to be grown-ups and can parent together. And because that's the same, as long as both of them are engaged together and working together to raise the child, that is what we want. I don't get too caught up in traditional as as much as maybe people think, but um, we as fathers, you got kids, man. Let's make sure we engage the best way we can, the best we can. I'm not asking for um, yeah, I'm just asking for us to give the most we can, to do the best we can, just be engaged, try not to get frustrated, at some of the obstacles we face, but just stay engaged. So I love that about what I'm seeing. I can only speak for me and my family. I can only speak for my cousins, people I grew up with, and what I see is a total reversal than what it was, say, in the '80s and '90s when I was growing up. Once again, I'm only speaking for my own experiences, right? And what I'm seeing out of my family is we as men, we're stepping up, we're being engaged, we are we're not running away from our responsibilities. And like I say, it's a big difference than what I saw in the '80s when a lot of us didn't have our fathers around. So I see an improvements. One quick thing I would like to say is people need to really learn how to appreciate the small victories. It's I don't know. I feel like I hear people say that if we don't get this or we don't get that, then we should, it's not good enough. But I really believe in the small steps. I really believe in the small victories because there's always chopping it up. You're always grinding and out type of mentality. So, don't, I like the small victories, man. I love small victories.
Right. And so, you said an interesting point about men being in the home nowadays. And a lot are in the home, but a lot are still not in the home. And so, as a young boy, as a young man growing up without that father in the home and that father not in his life, because I'm big on working with kids that has a father absence. So, because I've talked to a lot of different young men who didn't have a father in the home and never laid eyes on their father. And so, some of the stories I hear and some of the trauma that it gives them, some of the anxiety and some of the depression that they go through is something
Mhm.
that no young man who's trying to become a young adult should have to bear. And so, what
Yeah.
would you like to say about that situation? Just to give it a little bit clarification and what are your thoughts on that?
Once again, some young men, some men can take that. that particular obstacle, and then they can do something about it. So, for example, like I say, once again, I'm seeing in within my family, my structure, I'm seeing where, like I say, back in the '80s, it seemed like a lot of us didn't have our fathers engaged and really around, um, versus now, where it seems the majority of the next generation in my family have two parent homes, or at least, like I say, they have a father who is engaged, even if he lives in another home. Um, um,
Right. Right.
so yeah.
Okay. So, what are some things that Cause you do a lot, man. Your father, your husband, your son, but you also um have a farm where you work for kids because you are a coach as well, right? You help your son play sports, right? Your baby boy.
Right, yeah. So just a lot of those things are through him, the youngest one. My youngest son is Andre Jr. You know, COVID really put a damper on sports. Um, but that's okay. We're going to be
Right.
getting back into it. And already, so what it did do for me and my son though, it made us do a lot of workouts just individually, just him and me. Um, and I've enjoyed that time. Baseball and basketball seems to be that thing. We like throwing the baseball back and forth, and that's I use those times. I do what I know, and one of the things I like is sports. So for my kids, that was always my avenue, even if they were playing for the school or not. I just always use some type of sports as a way for me to spend time and learn little things to teach little things to them, open up opportunities to have certain conversations that just when I'm trying to probe what they're going through. It's hard to really know exactly what your kids are going through, but only thing you can do is ask. All you can do is just try to talk to them.
Mhm.
But keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying.
Well,
And I'm learning this, brother.
what I,
Like I say, I got a 29-year-old son, uh 26-year-old daughter, 16-year-old daughter who just turned 16 today, and then I have my son AJ, I'm telling you about, who's 13. Uh, I'm still learning, man. I'm still learning. Yeah.
okay. So, but with those sports, man, there's a lot of kids that I meet in passing, or you know they just come through and just maybe I I know their moms or know one of their uncles, or they be like, well, Mr. Jacob, my coach is a great guy. He's a phenomenal dude. And and I asked, I said, so you spend a lot of time with your coach? And he said yes. And my coach has taught me a lot of different things. And with that being said, I love my coach, like a second dad. And so, there's a lot of ministry that goes into
Um,
coaching the youth as well.
yeah. Please excuse the noise in the background. My wife and son and daughter just came in. My daughter had a birthday party, and she just coming in. Um,
Okay, okay, happy birthday.
yeah, you want to come around? Come around so they can see you. This is my youngest daughter, Aaliyah.
Hi.
Yeah.
All right, happy birthday.
So anyway, they just came back in. Thank you. Sorry about that, Jake. Um, One of the
Not a
things
problem.
in this particular neighborhood that I live in is we have a very good um, rec center across the street. Uh, as you was talking, I was thinking about how I've lived in this particular neighborhood for wow, about 15, 16 years. Uh, and when I get to speak with the kids in the neighborhood here is usually through what's going on at this rec center and also outside. Like I said, I got a son that's 29. He grew up in this neighborhood, and I've seen a lot of those young men come in and come back to visit. And now you got this new generation, like I say, with my teenagers. But the rec centers seem to be, if I could say anything that we as African Americans could do for our own community, is try to invest in more of rec centers as some type of center point or focal point for the community, because we got to try to account for each child and keep them busy.
Right.
But we have to account for each child. Now, in some cities that's going to be a lot harder, but it can be done. But my thing is, it just amazes me how some neighborhoods 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years are still trouble. And it makes me question, how is that still possible? Uh,
Hmm.
so anyway, like I say, I believe in some type of focal point, starting with your local rec center, or in building more rec centers too.
So with that vocal point on building rec centers, and I know that there's different budgets and stuff for recreation for the youth, um, and so a lot of people don't know how to go about speaking to their officials, elected officials, that is, when the elected officials are supposed to serve you. And so,
Right.
with that being said, a lot of these children need to know who the elected officials are. Um, because the rec centers are very important. The coaches are very important, and the people who give their time to these kids are very important, because these are advocates for the youth, and they love working with the youth. And so there definitely have to be different programs, not only in sports but in education. Different trades like mechanics, home improvement, all type of different things that kids, because
Yeah.
every kid is not a 4-year student. And some kids just want to have a trade where they can make a decent living. And so I feel like through the recreation department, there has to be different programs to help these children excel to the next level of their lives.
Right. So I mean, that's let's be honest about it. That's really kind of a part of a lot of fighting you see on a national level, right? So you and me know
Right,
that these programs can work. Unfortunately, we have parts of our society who believe that those programs take money, right? A lot of people feel that
right.
they are paying for us African Americans to have those programs. And so it's
Hmm.
once again, they don't feel that we may not be deserving, or it's a waste of time. Uh, but if you notice, it's always a struggle to get any money to the hardest hit poorest communities on a regular basis. Like I said, we have the opportunity, we know how to do it. The money's there, but it's consistently can't seem to get to those poorest neighborhoods, because you have forces who make sure to give you a fight all the time. I was just thinking about what you were saying about dealing with your local politician. Okay. Once again, I'm not saying anything that I shouldn't be saying to myself, but maybe we may not know how to talk to that particular politician, but we can go to the local town council meetings and things like that, or work with other citizens in the community that somebody is going to it, somebody needs to check on it, and report back. So that type of organization just within ourselves could be helpful um, going forward in the next level. Uh, I mean, of course, there are African Americans out there that are into our political system that know what's going on. They're engaged. I'm not saying that, but you and me, you know me. I'm talking about sometimes in those small town communities where the national president and what they're doing doesn't hurt you as much as your local town and what they're doing
Right.
or not doing. So yeah, we all need to be more knowledgeable about who's running. Um, and as far as politics, real quick, I believe that we as African Americans are a strong voting force. And man, it was disappointing during the last election cycle. I thought it was real disappointing how many people, black people, were literally going out there and saying, either through social media or whatnot, they would say that we shouldn't vote together as a power, as a force, and that's always disappointing. Um, because the way I see it, if we have a lot of things that we know we need to work on, then definitely what we need to continue to do is work together when it comes time to voting, not just for the national elections, but for the local too. So we got to step up what we all do as far as going to vote on that local level for sure. We can raise a lot of havoc if we start showing up um, and turning the numbers in up on the local election.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that we need to hold more people accountable, and knowing them one thing, but holding them accountable is a whole nother thing. We can't have the attitude where they know what's going on, they ain't trying to do nothing about it anyway. But we have to be forceful in a political and a professional way, because you can't be a black person in America in this society today. You cannot be a black person in America and you not be political in some type of form. You have to be. Your voice should be heard. Your voice has power. And
Yeah,
and 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 so you have to understand what's going on to really get a solution and to move forward.
yes, yes. Oh, you need to exercise your power. But I'll be honest with you, Jake. Yeah, if there are there are people who may feel like voting does not help, it doesn't do anything. At this point, I've almost gotten to the point where I don't even get into a debate no more on that issue. If you're not paying attention, right? If you're sleepwalking, um,
Hmm.
people, your vote doesn't matter. Yet there are people right now so upset that you voted. They're changing laws to try to make it harder for you to vote next time. As we speak, we're our vote is being under attack across the country right now, and so I just think, I'm just asking everybody to, for not just not everybody, because most black people I feel get it. I'm talking directly to those who want to go around telling everybody we as black people shouldn't be voting together, that we shouldn't be a force. I'm not saying that you can't, that you have to always vote with the majority. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this attitude that a lot of African Americans get together and vote together as a block, maybe it's because we're actually thinking about all the different factors involved in a particular matter. And we try, and this seems to be the best way to go. And I think there has been achievements over the years. Maybe we should be further along than we are. But my thing is, let's keep on pushing. Let's keep on pushing. You and I can only do what's in our power. So for me, I can only do what I can do and try to raise people, raise my children in a way where they're going to be good citizens out here, and also will speak up. Um, Historically in America, a lot of people watch things go on and they do nothing about it, and the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And a lot of times because we don't speak
Mm.
up, you can at least use your voice. I ain't saying go out there and manhandle no one. I'm just saying that you can use your voice, you can speak power, use your voice for good. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You know, we have to use our voice, and no one man or no one woman can do it by themselves. So we have to move collectively as a unit to get things done. We have to move with a force, but in reason to understand we can get things done, but we do need some answers on why it's not getting done. Where is the money going? Why is the money not going into the community? So who
Yeah,
where is the money
yeah.
going? Because
We've
it's a
got to
lot of times
dig
that
deeper.
money has been in the community for years, right? Most definitely, cuz most definitely. So, that's one thing about the restructuring, rebranding community, man. We definitely have to dig deeper, and we definitely have to get down to the bottom of a lot of things that haven't been taken care of. That's it had a budget for the last 20 years of getting taken care of. So, and with that said, man, we just gonna move right along until health administration, which is your field. So, let's talk about why you wanted to go into health administration, and the things that you have encountered while being in that type of career.
Right. So, Jake, I've been working in that field for the past 16 years. I started out as a medical assistant. What started me in that field, I was in my early 30s at the time, 30, 31. And me and my wife had just moved to the Maryland area. Um, and in our relationship, my wife has had her health issues, and through a lot of those moments with my wife, it got me to thinking that you know the medical field seems to be where it's at, and also there's a lot of different jobs you can do. I mean, you can be a nurse, but you can also be an X-ray tech. You can be a physical therapist. You can be a phlebotomist. There's a lot of different areas to go into. At that time, I was worried about being bored and not sticking to something in life. Um, that's what I thought my issue was at that young age, at early 30s, is that I'll do something, and then once I'm tired of it, then I want to move on to something totally different. So I figure if I go into the medical field, if I start out as a medical assistant, for example, if I don't like, I get tired of that, but I can go into something else, be an X-ray technician, because like I say, there's a lot of different other avenues you can go. So I did that for about 6 years, and then I got into the administration, customer service side. I worked on an assisted living facility where I worked on a rehab floor um, with the elderly. I really enjoyed that work. That's maybe my specialty is working with the elderly. Uh, and then maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, I went into the sales and more administration, but also into the sales part of the business, as far as helping people find a place for their mom and dad. And um, I enjoy that as well. I'm not really a sales guy. I hate talking numbers. I hate looking at the amount of money it costs for to take care of an elderly person in an assisted living facility, much less a long-term care facility, which can be as much as $13,000 a month in this area.
Ooh, wow,
Yeah.
wow. So, so, so Andre, with you being into the health administration and you understanding the sales and how the business run, and you're engaging with the children of the
Silver
elderly,
Spring.
clients that may be going right. So that may be going into a new living assistant, housing, or like how was that experience for you, man? Because with with looking at the numbers and stuff and going into the sales, man, how did you wrap your head around how much it costs monthly for an elderly person?
Right. So what it just to kind of make a long story short, I've had enough time to realize that our generation did not save, or maybe we are not saving the kind of money and wealth that previous generations were able to do, right? Um, so I
Mm-hmm.
feel that there's going to be maybe even a crisis in about 10 to 20 years, I fear. And the reason I say that is you're going to start having more and more people who are going to be 75, 85, 95 years old. There's going to need some type of assistance. Who is going to pay for that? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, the current, when you use a Medicaid, for example, and maybe some other state and local funding, a lot of times that's not enough to keep your loved one in the home with you. Times are different now. Mom and dad both got to be out of the house working. Who is going to be able to stay at home? And even if you do hire someone, can you trust that person? That's a whole different ball game in that self. Um, but with the population of elderly people going up, there's going to be a big increase in home care. There's going to be a big increase in the need for aides, um, sitters, um, and so I'm going to be interested. It's going to be interesting to me what it's going to look like in 20 years for a lot of people, because if you don't have a retirement, if you don't have source of income outside of Medicaid, that means that when you're at that point where you're forced to go live in a long-term care facility, you're going to have to stay wherever Medicaid can put you. That might be good depending on where you are, but you may not want to be in a situation where you have to stay in places that's the only, they accept Medicaid. I mean, nothing wrong with places that accept Medicaid. I'm just saying that they can only provide but so much care in those facilities with that budget. So where is the other money going to come from to hire a personal aide? Um, you know, so I feel like that's going to be a big problem coming up in maybe not 10 years, but 15, 20 years for sure. We're going to start seeing a bigger problem than we are seeing now in terms of how do we take care of our elder, our poor elder. because not everybody's got $500,000 sitting in their bank account uh, with 14,000 dollars coming in a month. You know, so a lot of these. Uh, so I'm just saying, all of us need to start thinking about this. If you're my age, for sure, how are we going to take care of mom? That's going to cost money, and so we all need to just take
Hmm.
that in consideration. It's very easy not to think about who's going to take care of mom until it's time to take care of mom.
So I heard you say something about the senior living. So the living assistant housing and the long term care housing. And so can you break down the pros and cons of both? Because this is very interesting to me, and it's very educational. And so
Right.
I'm really glad I have you on the show tonight because you are definitely giving me some insight on something that I never knew, and something that I'm willing to learn about because it's education within everything that you're saying.
Right. So, um, when you're talking about assisted living or senior living, you got independent living, you got you got independent living, you got assisted living, and then you have long-term care. Long-term care is your stereotypical environment that you think about when you think about an old folks home. Nobody likes to use that word or that term anymore. But that's when a person
Hmm.
needs total care when you're talking about the long term care. That's when the costs are just phenomenal. If you get to a point where you need two aides to get you up every morning, when you get to the point where you need someone to manage your medications every day, those all of that costs money. And like I say, not to mention if you can't stay at home with family, you have to go live at a facility. Someone else has to do all of this.
Hmm.
Um, so independent living, you need hardly any care. You're probably just around other people of your age and that type of community. That's great. That's when people are, I wouldn't even say I'd say 70s, 80s, early 80s. They're really enjoying their senior years, but physically they still are good. They can travel. Their mind is still with it, right? But eventually,
Hmm.
you know, you're looking at you're 90 years old, you're 95. Eventually, things are going to start slowing down, and
Right.
we have medications, we have type of technologies and advancements now that really it is nothing new to see a 100-year-old person. That is not a new thing. That is not a rare thing. I and I see the numbers increasing every 2 to 3 years. You see more and more 100-year-old people. It used to be a rarity, seemed to me, but not anymore, brother. Not anymore. So you can imagine
Mm.
if you're 48, 50 years old right now, uh, it's very possible that many of us will live to be 100 years old, and we have to prepare ourselves for that. We have to prepare
Mm.
ourselves. Yeah.
Mm. That's a
Uh,
really interesting, and it's funny you say that, man, because I see people that's 75, 80 years old, man, that just still can walk a mile for the exercise. They're still driving. They're at all their great grandchildren sporting events. And so it's amazing. And I also see a lot of family members. You know they 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 have houses, but a lot of people are in what we call the 55 and older community nowadays. And
yeah.
so, but these are some of the people that are the most healthy people I've seen in my life, man, that live in the 55 and older community. And so, and you said something about um, Medicare and Medicaid. When a person has to go through them, they kind of put you where they want you to go at, and it may not be the best thing for that person that have some type of sickness or some type of illness. So let's talk more about that.
Right. So, you know, there once again, I want to be very careful. I'm not saying that those facilities um well, so just to give you an example, a former job that I was at, you you couldn't come to the rehab floor or the long-term care facility if you're on Medicaid, meaning that is your source of income. You couldn't come in the door that way. So at this particular facility that I worked at, um, we had to do a financial check on you. We had to see if you had probably close to $250,000 in assets. But you're in a nice environment. Don't get me wrong, you're getting everything you need, right? But then another facility down the street, um, if all you have is Medicaid, right? You have to ask yourself, what are they cutting in order to meet their requirements of taking care of you? So, for example, you may have to share a room with someone else. Now, you have to ask yourself when you get older and you have to be in that situation, what if you don't want to share a room with someone else? But there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the money, right? Your family doesn't have the money. They're not able to pull it together. That you can't come stay with them. So I think that's a scary moment. Now, don't get me wrong. I've also seen situations where people have plenty of money, um, and their family members still don't come to visit them. So you'll be surprised how when we get 85, 90, 95 years old, it's amazing how it doesn't matter how much money you made in your life at that point. Doesn't matter. Unless
Mm.
you're talking about how are you going to pay for the care for you? How are you going to take care of who's going to cook for you? Who's going to clean for you? You know, and if you are, depending on your health, more complications you have, the more cost again is incurred, right? So
Right.
Uh, I just want, like I say, if I can just leave that point, I just want to make that point clear. Please think about that when you get older. What are you going to do, um, so that you don't have to go to the cheapest place available? You want to have, if your kids can't take care of you, fine. Then I need to be looking into how I can have a high quality of life that you deserve. Because if you make it to be 70 years old, I think you must have did something right.
Yeah, you're doing exceptionally well. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, so you saying the people that only benefit from Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid versus the people who have 500K in their accounts and also have an income coming in of 13 to 15,000 every month. Those facilities are way different, and those facilities that people have the money to afford those greater facilities, they really get the best care. And so, what does that leave people who put all this money in their whole life, but they just didn't get over the hump? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people work for a long time and they're
Yeah,
still living off Social Security,
yeah,
and then when they get old, they have to go to a nursing home or a living assistance program that Medicare or Medicaid has to find them. And so, what does that look like for a child that has to explain this to their parents?
So I'll say this. That's where we like I said, I'm 40, late 40s, 48 years old, right? We need to be prepared to think about taking up that slack. That's the only thing I can think of right now, especially for the black community, the poor community, is that all of us have to be willing to come together to figure out where the shortfall lies and how we can fill in that gap. That's the only thing we can do. That's the only thing we can do. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I feel like there are some families that are not going to have any problem in figuring it out, right? But if you're a family that naturally doesn't speak with each other often, uh, that's going to be a problem when the day comes. It's going to be a problem. All of us have to prepare ourselves for death. We have to prepare to lose our parents, you know, and we also know that one day it'll be our turn, and so as we out there trying to make our money, because we there's no doubt about it, we've got to continue to make ourselves better. We got to continue to work on our wealth. We got to continue to work on trying to leave some wealth behind for the next generation. I'm just saying that
Right.
when it comes to retirement years, when it comes to that moment in life where it's going to start taking a lot of your money to take care of yourself, we got to start having conversation. You got to start having conversations with your children, uh, or the children need to get together and figure something out. It may be the only thing you can do is maybe hire an aide that will be with mother all the time. Maybe that's the solution this time. Um, it used to be, Jake, and I'm sure you still remember those days where mom didn't go live in an assisted living facility, mom or dad. So
Right. Right.
we may have to return to those days. And so I'm asking anyone who's listening, just understand that we need to be prepared to take care of our elderly, um, senior members of our family because we still need them. And while we're taking care of them, take the kids with you when you're going to go visit. Let them know what's going on. This is how
Right.
what it takes to take care of an elderly person. Um, Sometimes I've seen families where only one person has to make all those decisions and can't get any help from their family. And I've seen situations where it is
Yeah.
a beautiful thing when someone's got three, four kids, and all four of them work together to do what's right for mom. They put their little, uh, their little differences aside because we all love mama, we all love daddy, we all want to make sure that they have a high quality life in their uh, most senior years. You know.
Right. 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 And so, as we move forward, talking about the elderly is something else that I want to talk about. Last but not least, health and wellness. Well, yeah, wellness and health, or health and wellness, however you want to how we want to say it in the Black community. So,
Yeah.
with you being, in health administration and seeing a lot of stuff that goes on in the community, what are some health and wellness programs that people can take advantage of in their younger years and in their senior years?
Uh, wow. So I will say this for the younger people, and you're working at your job, and through that job, you probably are getting your insurance through them. Uh,
Hmm.
Take advantage of what their healthcare program is offering as well. So it may seem small, but you may not need glasses, but your children might, or even dental is very expensive, right? So there are programs that your employer is really good about. So if you do get on full time or whatever it takes so that you can get care with their insurance, I would just say real quick, just take advantage, call their call your HR representative, make sure you get information that they're giving out. There are so with one of the companies I worked for, they had a hotline that whatever may be going on, you can get somebody who can give you some health advice right there. They can help set up um, appointments for you if you needed um, any legal issues. So a lot you be some jobs offer that, but we don't know it because we never really pay a lot of attention to it. We just collect our check and keep it moving. But I will say, please check with your local um, or your employer insurance. Yeah. But any so for example, if you are trying to quit smoking, there's so I once again I'm trying to speak for myself. Um, there are good programs out there that if you're trying to stop smoking, there are different um, um, ways to help you if you're trying to stop smoking. So I would take advantage of any of those programs because smoking is definitely bad for you. And so I'm only speaking for myself. That's something I need to definitely double up on and use those resources that are available to me.
Okay. And so, with the health and wellness program, people just need to know as far as your health goes, there's a lot of nutrition that you can partake in your body when it comes to the all natural fruits and the vegetables that really, help your digestive tract. It help you think better. It help your mobility, all the above. And so, black um, wellness and health is very important in our communities, man. And I don't think we discuss it enough. And like you talking to a guy that I'm interviewing tonight, that's in the health administration field. So he's he's seen a lot when it comes to the elderly and how it can go left real quick because they didn't change their diet, over a period of time. So, with that being said, Dre, man, it's been phenomenal, man. We bite out of time, but it's been a phenomenal interview. I've learned a lot. I hope the audience has learned a lot, man. Whoever thought the small time boy from 96 South Carolina would be, in health administration, health sales, and helping people, provide
Hey,
living programs for their families that can be secure and safe, and so the kids ain't got to worry in the wee hours of the night because they know that their parents are taken care of in these facilities, man. So it's been phenomenal, man. So is there anything that you want to say to the people, man?
just want to say, well, here's my wife, Robin. Say hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Robin.
So it's been a
Hello.
yeah.
Hey.
Hey, Jake. Yeah. So Jake, I just want to say I'm proud of your show, man. I get to catch it as much as I can, and I remember when you was first talking about it, and next thing I know, it was up and running and doing great. I'm expecting big things, even bigger things, because I see it's growing. And like I say, I thank you for giving me an opportunity to come and talk. And like I say, I'm not no guru or nothing like that, man. I'm trying to do the best I can. We have our ups and downs, and but thank God we're making it through. And I just want to say, everybody, take care of yourselves. Um, Me and my wife can't wait to come back to South Carolina. We get ready to come take about a vacation probably in June. So we'll be coming through 96 and Greenwood, Columbia, and everything. Okay. But thanks
Okay.
for having us, bro.
All right. So
Thanks for having me.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anytime,
All
man.
right.
And when you get ready to open up your facility, please let me know because we definitely have to bring you back on the podcast. So,
Okay.
because a lot of people think it can't be done, but I already know you're gonna do it, man. Because man, you talked about this some years ago about you having your own facility, and man. So keep on pushing. It's
Well,
gonna happen. I just
thank
want
you,
to say,
brother. Thank you, brother.
what- yes, sir. And see, man, you got something special, man. You got that great wife that's gonna push you over the hump, man. So
Oh yeah.
that's what we call next level. You know what I mean? And y'all been rocking for a long time. So and I know if anybody gonna push you over that hump, she definitely gonna do it, man. So shout out to her as well. And thank you for joining me tonight. The Chatterbox with King Jacob, man. It's been an honor. It's been certainly a pleasure, and I learned a lot from you tonight, man. And I'll definitely
Thank you,
be in
brother.
touch. So you guys have a
Thank you,
safe and a
brother.
blessed weekend. And
You too.
you know, to the world, this is Andre D. Kinard, man. Health
All right,
administrator.
brother.
Future facility
Take
owner.
you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Hey,
All
have a
right.
good one, brother. Have a good
Yes,
one.
sir. You too. You too, man. All right. Peace.